If you've ever wondered who's actually doing the work for my account and who our agency is hiring to deliver, this is the video. I reviewed over 30 agencies to deep dive into what's happening behind the curtain and who is actually making the calls for your account. Most agencies have the most senior people talking to you when it comes to the first decision process and getting you onboarded, and then they ship you off to junior people. Why do they do that? Because it's cheaper. So there's two things here that we need to break down. The first one is that some agencies, they don't really have a specialization. They're generalist agencies. They serve you as much as they prospect for websites, as much as they prospect for marketing agencies. And their salespeople are just dealing with 4 or 5 different products. They might call for one client per day, and they're gonna not call for your account for another 5 business days until it's finally your turn again. The problem I found with this model is that they juggle too many things and they never really upskill and learn fast enough about the product, about the service, and about the objections. These agencies tend to play the numbers game, the retainer game, and they tend to play as well the margin game, where they want to charge you the least possible to stay competitive. And so what they're doing, they're hiring junior staff and they're betting on training to try to get them to upskill as fast as possible. The fact that people are entry level leads them to maybe being disappointed in the job. Maybe it's not what they imagined. Maybe they're too nervous on the cold call and they can't really get over it. And so it causes a lot of issues for agencies that have to replace staff that just want to go to marketing after they've done a bunch of cold calls and they feel like it's not for them because the stress is too much. This happens more often than you would think. And so while these companies usually develop over the years, and some of them have been around for 30 years, a lot of the salespeople, despite all the training, might not be able to manage the complexity of prospecting for your software. It can work when it's not too complex and there's a simple value proposition, there's simple messaging, and you just need people who do a good job at conveying that messaging to the market, but don't have to be quick on their feet when they are in a complex conversation answering technical questions. That's when I think that these SDRs are actually very qualified. The agency in that case needs to have very strong training and verification processes to make sure that the quality they're delivering for you is good. Having been through the entry-level position like everybody in sales, I can tell that when I got started, I just was not nearly as good as I am now 8 years later. In my opinion, you have salespeople, no matter how much training they got before they got on the phone, who basically training on your prospects. And this is what really bothers me, and this is why I don't really like hiring people unless they're extremely talented, who have less than 3 or 5 years of experience. They haven't been through the nerves of cold calling and the stress that comes with it. And so it's always a gamble when you hire people and they've got to do their first cold calls. In my opinion, it's just not the best setup. With that being said, we need agencies like these to train the next generations of senior people. So, it's adapted to a certain kind of company, and it's not adapted to some companies that I work with. The other type of resource that a lot of companies hire are senior BDRs, SDRs, who basically have at least 3 years of experience, if not 5. And companies like mine, we tend to hire people who have 5, 10, or 20 years of experience prospecting, just because of the complexity of the clients we serve. We need experience and we don't want trial and errors. Some agencies, though rare and few, have the same philosophy as I do, and they would hire senior SDRs to work on your account. They can handle a complex value proposition. They know how to navigate stakeholders. They don't get nervous on the phone because they've done 10,000, 20,000, maybe 50,000 cold calls in their career. They've had thousands of conversations. When they're 3 or 5 years into their career, the odds that they just give up everything and go back to studying and become an accountant are extremely low. Normally, they're career salespeople and they're not someone who's just trying to get their first job. They also need less management, which is fully aligned with my philosophy, where I love to just trust people, let them do what they do best, let them do their work, and then control and verify the quality of what's being done and what needs to be adjusted from a strategic perspective. When you have people who execute well, you're more focused on the messaging and targeting because you know that the opening of a call was good, the objection handling was good, and it's more about the environment, the personas, the objection handling, and the messaging than the skill set of a salesperson. The disadvantage is that they come with a higher cost. They just have the higher salaries, they tend to have higher commissions as well. And so that gets factored in, that impacts the final client, you, in terms of pricing. It's also harder for agencies to find and retain because they tend to be headhunted as well by software companies like yours who want to hire them internally. And they tend to be headhunted by most of the market. They may also get bored with repetitive campaigns. They may also get bored with campaigns. So it's always a risk for an agency to lose these people because they're just not challenged. When does it work? In my opinion, it works well for cybersecurity, fintech, HR tech, anything tech, a bit complex, where you need to know the environment, where you need to upskill, where you don't have to worry about, again, the basics of the skill set of sales because you already have them and all you have to focus on is the industry, the product, the service that you provide and how they will convey it to the market. I think this is the best environment for them, especially for deal size of 10 grand, 20 grand and more. And I've seen clients who just hired juniors, hired agencies, it just failed because the salespeople were not executing well. And we just came in and we put senior SDRs and just right away we got better results just by having the right people. The question to ask for you when you hire an agency is, what's the average tenure of the people at your agency? Who's going to be making the calls on my account? How long have they been with you? And what's their experience? If they can't answer that question, that's a red flag. They should know by now, especially about the end of the buying process, they should know who's likely to work on your account, what's their name and what they're going to do and what is their experience related to your product. Now we need to actually talk in the next video about specialists versus generalist agencies, how to know which is which, how to know which is best for you, especially when every agency seems to claim a specialist. I reviewed 30 plus agencies to check who is actually generalist and who is actually a specialist. And I'm going to share these findings with you and what I think is the future of sales agencies. See you in the next video. If you like this one, please leave a like, a comment. If you disagree with some of my opinions in this video about how agencies are set up, please let me know. I'd love to have a conversation in the comments.